Taking down a mature tree means hanging suspended 50 feet in the air, managing heavy falling timber while wielding a chainsaw. It's highly physical labor. Yet, if you live in the greater Baton Rouge area and try to get a price to remove a tree from your yard, the quotes you get back can feel completely disconnected from each other. This chart plots the local market rates. You can see the total span ranges aggressively from $400 all the way past $2,500. The bulk of local jobs land in that shaded middle, somewhere between $900 and $1,500. When you receive a $2,000 estimate, it is completely reasonable to wonder if you are being overcharged. But the difference between these extreme outer edges often comes down to the specific hazards your yard presents. Most people assume a tree's height directly dictates its price tag. The reality is that the final dollar amount is determined by the specific risk to the crew and the physical difficulty of reaching the trunk. To understand exactly where your specific job falls on this curve, you have to throw out the idea that average prices apply to unique properties. We start calculating cost with a base metric, height. A taller canopy demands more cuts, heavier rigging, and significantly more time spent working up in a bucket truck. This chart breaks down baseline ranges by size. Small trees under 30 feet and medium trees up to 60 feet establish the lower floors, usually maxing out around $1,200. The upper tiers reflect the 60 to 80-foot large category and the 80-foot plus very large category. If you have a mature live oak or a towering loblolly pine in your yard, the sheer volume of wood involved pushes the starting bid well past $2,000. But height is only the baseline. The final number you pay is dictated by the environmental constraints immediately surrounding that tree. The heaviest invisible multiplier is the access penalty. Dropping a tree into an open, empty field takes minutes. Navigating a tree wedged tight between your roof, a fence, and live power lines takes hours. Tight access removes the option of a simple felling. Crews are forced to rope down hundreds of pounds of timber to protect the structures below. If you live in older, historic neighborhoods like Spanish Town, heavy machinery physically cannot clear your property lines. The labor becomes entirely manual. In these constrained environments, the tree crew takes on immense liability to ensure a falling branch doesn't puncture your roof or crush your neighbor's property. Because of that labor and risk, extracting a short tree from a tight corner consistently costs significantly more than dropping a massive tree in an open, empty field. Many homeowners notice a declining tree and adopt a wait-and-see strategy. The logic goes that dead, dry wood will be easier and cheaper to process later. That logic is mathematically backward. Dead or storm-damaged wood triggers a strict hazard premium, heavily increasing the final quote. This cross-section shows exactly why. The healthy trunk has predictable strength. The decaying trunk does not. Rotted wood is brittle. Climbers cannot trust the trunk to bear their weight. Trees with severe liens operate under the exact same mechanics. Gravity constantly strains compromised failure points, increasing the likelihood of a sudden snap. Holding out for a tree to die completely does not save money. It guarantees you will pay top dollar for a highly dangerous, technically difficult extraction. Species creates another distinct variable. Hardwoods like oak and hickory are dense. They dull chainsaw blades quickly and add thousands of pounds to a haul-away truck compared to lighter softwoods. Looking at this multiplier scorecard, you can see how the quote builds. Base height, access constraints, and hazard premiums cover the removal, but stump grinding is a separate line item. You can control some of these final costs. If you ask the crew to leave the wood cut and stacked for firewood, removing that labor instantly drops your total price. Your final quoted price reflects the pristine level of cleanup you request, rather than just the literal felling of the timber. In Louisiana, every yard maintenance schedule revolves around a fixed window. Hurricane season runs rigidly from June through November. A planned removal on a sunny Tuesday is manageable. Extracting a fractured oak off your roof during a severe midnight rainstorm is entirely different. Emergency response work commands heavy premiums. Crews are dispatching after hours into dangerous weather, frequently having to coordinate directly with utility companies to safely navigate downed power lines. There is a financial safeguard to keep in mind here. If a fallen tree strikes a covered structure, your homeowner's insurance will generally pay to remove the portion resting on the building. Dealing with a compromised tree proactively in May will cost significantly less than calling an emergency crew in the middle of a November storm. This matrix plots your next move. Budget optimizers can negotiate by handling wood disposal and leaving the stump intact. On the fence, hire an arborist for a trimming assessment. Removing risky limbs mitigates the hazard for a fraction of a full removal. You cannot determine the final cost of a job by looking up internet averages. Satellite maps and search engines cannot detect rotting roots, dense hardwoods, or complex access angles. You need a free, zero-pressure on-site quote. Having an expert physically walk your property is the absolute only way to map the hidden risks unique to your yard. A precise, definitive price never exists on a website. It is calculated directly in your backyard,